the Steele Rabbit Podcast. I'm just a snow bunny, your guide on this unfiltered journey through the realms of adult intimacy and relationships. Get ready for bold conversations, candid stories, and a dash of humour as we navigate the complexities of desire together. Embrace the sensual, the provocative, and the unexpected. This is a space where nothing is off limits and where we celebrate the diverse landscapes of human connection. Let's dive deep into the world of passion and pleasure.
Welcome to the Steele Rabbit Podcast. I'm Johnny Steele, and I'm here joined by Just a Snow Bunny.
What up, Johnny Steele, your girl?
Hey, goddamn right.
Good to be back.
Great to be back.
So what are we talking about today, Johnny? Don't answer that. I'm going to answer that.
Give it to him.
Today, we're going to talk a bit about, I guess, the ins and outs of open relationships.
Yes.
And looking at things like ground rules and how it fits within our life. So the lifestyle within our life.
Right.
So I guess we should probably start with the very beginning.
Yeah.
For those of you who are new to the podcast, obviously me and Johnny are in an open relationship.
Yep.
We have been doing that for a couple of years now.
Yes.
Been together for 7
I'd say
years.
probably about like 2.5 years
Yep,
now or something.
about 2.5 years. So been together in the entirety for like 7 years.
Yeah.
And I guess we've spoken about it before, but how we ended up deciding to start with an open relationship.
Yes.
Obviously, as with any relationship, we had our ups and downs. We still do, but we certainly had a lot of ups and downs to begin with. And then putting an open relationship into our life as well.
With two very strong-willed people.
But I guess for us, although we did have a lot of ups and downs, we definitely got to a place in our relationship where we realised that we're in this for the long haul. I mean, obviously that's why we got married originally, but we definitely felt that this was it forever.
Speak for yourself.
Wow. Okay. It was good knowing you all. And that's the
end of this podcast. Thank you. So we've made it 4.2 episodes. It's been great. We love you all. Thank you for the ride.
Yeah, so we obviously you have to be at a right point in your relationship for anyone that's thinking about stepping into this.
But it also takes the right relationship too. Not every relationship can do this, and it's not for any other reason. It's than other. It takes a very secure relationship. That's
right. And the right people.
100%. Because there's going to be heaps of issues that are going to come up, even if you think that they're not.
They do.
Like, especially when you start off, you are basically in a monogamous relationship, brought up, thinking, with like the monogamous mindset.
This is the norm.
And this is the norm. This is what you do. This is what you're supposed to do. So when you jump into this, there's definitely going to be things like jealousy. You might think that there is not going to be, but there's 100% going to be.
Yeah.
And every single couple that has been in this lifestyle has dealt with that. Even us. We, people listen.
We sound like we're in a really good place.
Yeah, that's the thing.
People
listen to the podcast and they're like, wow, they mesh really well. Like they have a really great relationship. And it's like, yes, we do. But it took a lot of work. It did not just happen overnight. 100%.
No. And that's the other thing. People have to learn to work on themselves a bit too.
Yeah, if you're not willing to compromise or change or believe in any kind of self-growth, this is not for you.
No, not at all. You get a lot of people that are like, I'm just like a fierce bitch and that's who I am. And you just have to deal with it.
And it's just like,
you can't be that kind of person.
You can't have that mindset. You can't be stuck in those ways.
Yeah.
Because for one, it's a massive turnoff and you're probably not going to be approached by people.
Yeah.
Because at these things, people don't like those kind of mindsets. It's just
And it's just never going to work for
It comes off very toxic, and it's the lifestyle. No one's going to tolerate it.
So obviously, we've built a good relationship. So a steady foundation, I guess, for going into an open relationship.
Absolutely.
And not to say that people can't have been in a very short relationship and still found an open relationship worked for them. That's, it's...
Oh, there's always going to be somebody out there who had an easier run even than us.
Yeah, absolutely.
But realistically, the average couple does not. Even people that have been doing, these couples that host events and all of this stuff, there's not been one time where they probably didn't have these same type of issues.
Yeah.
Like, even though they've been doing this 10 years or,
Exactly.
It's just what it is.
It is. We're human.
That's
We're
exactly
human.
it. And the thing is, if you, at any point you don't have a little bit of jealousy, then you should probably question your relationship.
Yeah, exactly. There should be some little feels there sometimes, I think. But I guess for a lot of people, they do ask how do you start that conversation with your partner if it's something you want to do in your relationship. And I know with us, I think even pretty much the first day we started talking online, we did kind of cover the idea of, I guess, a less monogamous relationship.
Yeah.
That you should be able to have other, hookups and stuff, as long as it wasn't sneaky and it was discussed. And so there was always that, I think, from the very, very much the get-go.
Yeah.
We had that kind of mindset.
But also our relationship has a lot of openness, not even just like we're allowed to go and do stuff with other people. Just, it is a very see-through relationship in general. Like,
we'll talk about anything and everything.
And some stuff that's shared, like, I don't even want to hear it most of the time.
No, but when people say to me, "Do not tell anyone," I'm like, "Yeah, I won't, but I'll tell Johnny."
Yeah,
I'm going to tell Johnny. I mean, obviously it depends on the situation. Like, if it's a really good friend with a really deep and dark secret and they don't want to share it, fine, I'm not going to tell you about it. But in general, if like someone at work is like, "Do not talk to anyone about this," well, no, I'm not going to talk to work people about it, but I'm going to talk to Johnny about it.
That's right.
Because that's what we do.
About all of you.
No. It's usually good. It's usually just funny stories from work, to be honest. But so.
Or is it?
So I guess starting that conversation for us, we'd already delved into it early on.
Yeah.
Just in general. Mm-hmm. And then I guess as time goes on, and I mean, we have discussed this before in the podcast, but it was sort of a natural progression for us, really.
Absolutely. It was kind of weird when we first started because we were kind of like heavy into it for probably about, I don't know, 5 months maybe.
Yeah.
And then once we had our son, we kind of took really like a year off. And I think that really helped, honestly, because I think that there was a little bit of issues in the beginning that weren't entirely worked through.
Definitely gave us time to reflect.
And it gave us time to reflect and basically a second chance to pick and choose the things we liked and what worked for us from the first thing and make it better this time.
Yes.
And I don't think that me and Jessica have ever even talked about this, but really that's kind of what happened.
And I think it's almost like for new people going into this, perhaps it would work for them as sort of a trial run. So you do a few months and then you take some time off to decompress.
Especially with the openness, like that is a very big step. I would say realistically, because we talked about swinging and all of that stuff kind of prior to it being open, and it just kind of never really worked out because of like one of us would be into one partner, not into the other one type. It just never panned out to where we were both content.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we talked about just maybe both of us doing our own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that may have been kind of something that we probably should not have just jumped into right away. Because I think that kind of could create a little bit of jealousy because, you have to have a lot of trust built up into this because the difference between, a swinger and our open relationship is like when you're swinging, you're with your partner more than likely, if not in the same room, you're probably in the same house doing something with,
Yeah.
and for us, we're sometimes not even in the same town. Okay. Like it's, you have to have a big, like a large amount of trust,
Yeah.
and you have to have a very secure relationship 100%, or this shit is just not going to work for you.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for me, so maybe we'll just delve into jealousy just a little bit here. It wasn't so much jealousy, but like you kind of start to think, is are they enjoying this more than maybe they're enjoying it with me?
Yeah.
Or which, I can actually understand that you might, because it's such a exciting kind of thing to do.
It's like when you hop in a new relationship with somebody and everything's fun and cool for the first
the honeymoon
month.
period.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what it's like. I guess, and that's probably what we get from this a lot. It's that continual honeymoon period.
You get that high almost every single time. And that's the thing about our relationship is we're not so much swingery. We've talked about this previously. We have heaps of swinger friends, and we do love the scene. It's great. It's we met heaps of awesome
we're
people.
Just not couple swappers,
but we're really. Just not couple swappers, really. And it's nothing personal. It's just not. It's just kind of what's just happened.
Yeah,
it's just kind of just what's happened with us. And it's not that we're against it. It's just more often than not, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't say I ever had jealousy per se. It was more like, I guess for us with having kids.
Yeah.
So often someone would come over to visit you, and I'd be like, you guys would go up to the bedroom and I'd have the kids downstairs. And it was kind of like, and I'm just sitting here with the kids. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, in saying that though, there was always people that were like, come up and watch. Like,
yeah.
Which was, but then I also wanted to give you the privacy to enjoy it.
No, 100%. I'm the same
always
way.
For me, it doesn't matter. Obviously my feelings count, but it doesn't matter how I'm feeling, because above and beyond all that, my goal is for you to be happy and enjoying yourself.
Well, I think that's kind of the goal for this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I know, but I think people that get jealous and can't see past that they should not be doing this.
But that's another thing that a lot of these new couples are going to have to work through, because it's going to happen. It's 100% going to happen. And you're going to have to deal with it in the moment. And I would say if it does happen while you guys are hooking up, because I would definitely suggest start off with swinging.
Yeah.
So you're both
soft
there.
Swapping,
not necessarily soft swapping. Because I mean, some people do take those baby steps, and it gives the chance for, if there is jealousy, for it to be resolved right there in that moment.
Communication, yeah, that's it.
Because I feel like there's going to be jealousy, and it's better off to address it then and there, instead of going through with this and then going home and arguing for the next week.
And even if
it can happen.
Honest, the other person's probably going to feel some type of way too. So if you say, I don't want you doing this, or I don't want you doing that, sure, the other person's probably going to be like, oh, hey, okay. And they're probably going to feel some type of way, but it's better to have that done and dusted.
If you don't say something and you just let it build up, this isn't going to work for you.
This is not going to work for you.
you definitely, this whole lifestyle is 100% communication.
Communication and transparency.
And if you can't do that, and that's not who you are as a person, you got to work on it if you want this to be for you. Because you're going to need it.
So
basic tools.
The other thing that you need to look at early on is, what are your ground rules?
100%.
So for us, we pretty much, I don't know if we sat down or we wandered around, but we definitely discussed this. It was something we knew was important, and we needed to work out what our boundaries were, what was acceptable, what the other person was going to be comfortable with you doing, and vice versa. And it's funny because some of our ground rules that we began with
got tossed out the window, I think, before we even had our first hooked up, because we realized how absolutely absurd this was.
Yeah.
And we're not sitting here and shitting on the people that still have these rules.
Yeah.
Because obviously everybody's relationship's different, and if you're dabbling in this and you have these little bit of rules set in place for you to both end up leaving and being happy and satisfied, then keep doing what you're doing.
Do it for sure.
That's what works for you. But for us, one of them was like no kissing, because we feel like kissing is a very super intimate thing.
Yeah.
But it's like at the same time, you look into this and you're like, so penetration, 100% okay, but I can't kiss somebody. And it's just like, how does that work?
It doesn't.
And it's just like
we discovered it doesn't.
It doesn't though, but it's in your mind before, as you're thinking about this before you actually jump into it. I think you have a lot of different views on what it's going to be like.
Yes.
And when you jump into it, and once it's happened, you realize like this shit was not anything. Like I worked myself up way more than this even was.
Yeah.
But also, in order to progress the any type of relationship with anybody or any type of physicality, if you're not kissing the person,
it's kind of awkward.
It's kind of awkward. Can you imagine if you're just like, please penetrate me and move on? Like, it sounds very robotic, and it's just like almost just like, I get people love AI, but this is not it, like.
But if you are into that, or if that's one of your rules and you don't kiss, like that's definitely we're not saying don't. We're not saying
don't do it.
We're saying that didn't work for us.
It didn't work for us, and we have had noticed other couples that had a lot of the same ground rules set in place that we had in the beginning, and they realized very quickly like this is not logical.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just not logical for them. It still might be logical for you. Keep doing what you're doing.
This is probably going to sound hilarious in hindsight, but I think one of my original ones was like no oral sex.
Oh yeah.
Me of all people.
I know. I think that she gives oral sex more than I do on these days. Like this chick cannot keep.
Stop it.
Shoot your shot, guys. Shoot your shot.
So I know me and Holly in the last episode talked a little bit about the first time she met me.
Yeah.
And you've talked about the first time you went on a date with her and how you felt.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so if you haven't listened to any of the other episodes and this is your first episode and you've just jumped into it, it may have been the first episode I might have talked about it because we dabbled into our open relationship and kind of explained who we are in that episode to people who don't know us. And I actually talked about how my first hookup, so I ride motorcycles and she lived about 30 minutes away or so. And that whole time I was riding at nighttime at like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. And you're in a helmet and you have nothing but your thoughts. So that whole time, the whole ride home, like I just felt so guilty and weird and awkward. And that may be a feeling that you get at some point as well.
And I think from my point of view, sitting at home waiting for you to come home.
Way different. She was hyped up.
I was so hyped for him.
I get in the door, she's like, tell me all the horny details. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Well, that makes me feel less of a scumbag.
He's like, I feel so bad. I'm like, why? Like, this is...
Yeah, she's like, was it fun? Was it good? Did you like it?
I don't know. I was living vicariously through him. I was having limited success.
Yeah, in the beginning, it was a little bit of a struggle for her. We've talked about that before. A lot of ghosting, a lot of people just standing her up in general.
That would have played into... So, once again, I don't know if it was jealousy, but there would have... I probably had a little bit of... My feeling was that you were getting...
Maybe resentment?
Yeah, you were getting a lot of... Action, and I was getting
literally like zero. It'd be she'd go on dates or something.
Or no,
it might be a little bit of chats.
I'd have something planned and then they'd cancel at the last minute, or I would get sick. I think
a lot of it, yeah.
I kept getting sick because we had
COVID,
I was
and then
pregnant.
COVID, and then like there was just heaps of reasons.
But yeah, so I was not getting anything, and Johnny was getting all the ladies, and I was like, motherfucker.
That's why they call me Johnny Steele, your girl.
So yeah, that would have that definitely made me feel a certain type of way.
No, it definitely would. And it's not just you. I'm sure that lots of people in that same situation where one person in the relationship is getting a little bit more than the other would feel that way.
Yeah.
I feel like even in a swinger situation, what if, one couple are going at it and the guy, comes really quickly or something, but the other couple are, still going at it for another hour. Like,
sitting
how,
there twiddling your...
like, and for a new couple, how's that going to make them feel?
Yeah,
like,
right.
There's lots of scenarios, and they can put you in these situations that make you feel awkward or uncomfortable, and starting off in the beginning, you're going to be put in these situations 100%. And it's really how you respond to them, to how you end up in this lifestyle and where you end up in this lifestyle.
How did you feel when I went on my first official date?
Which one was your first official date?
When I went out for dinner and back to his place.
I honestly wasn't really bothered, but at that point I had already been on a few dates. Like,
I know you were like, finally, I don't feel so bad.
I know. I'm like, man, I'm like 6-0. Like, I can't. What can I say? No, I don't know if really that's what I'm just throwing a number out here. But, so like I was excited for you. I think that for us, we get more excited about the other person going on a date than we get excited for ourselves. Not saying that I haven't met some like great women, because I have for sure. And a lot of them are like have become my friends that I chat to all the time. Like, they have kids, like our kids have played together, like, like it's just, it's a great way of finding friends. Because like a great way for me, because single moms are life. What's up, ladies? So, it's really worked out a lot. And a lot of these people aren't, like, they love Jess, so it works out for everybody.
Yeah.
But to get back to what you were asking here, I didn't feel anything. If anything, I was excited for you.
Yeah, like, I know you were so juiced. Every time I got cancelled on, you were probably more devastated than me. Like... But to be fair, your time, like, availability is a little bit less than mine, to where when you make these plans, like, it takes a lot to even get you to that point, that time to... So when somebody cancels, this is like, bro, what the fuck? Like, you had one job. Show up. You didn't have to be good. You didn't even have to deliver the business. You just had to show up. And show some respect. Yeah.
Instead, you ghost, and then you're like, oh, my grandma's uncle's cat. I'm really sorry. And it's just like, what? That doesn't even make sense. And then they'll come out of the woodwork 2 weeks later with that nonsense. It's just like, bro, no. Yeah. But to be fair, I've had to cancel a few times, but always very genuine reasons, usually either sick or I actually have a date this weekend that got canceled, and because she's sick, and I'm not mad. I'm not upset about that, because first of all, we are the king and queen of cancellations. Yeah. Mostly because we have children. And, shit happens. That's the thing. Shit happens. It's when, like, I got notice of this cancellation a few days before, and she's like, oh, I'm super sorry. Please don't hate me. And it's just like, I'm not going to hate you for that. Like, I'm a grown-ass adult. I'm not, like, what the hell? But, there are people out there that get very angry and, like, bitter about this stuff. And it's just like, in this lifestyle, you can't have expectations. No. Zero expectations is going to make you have a far better, enjoyable experience. And I think the longer we're in it, the less anything bothers me, to be honest. If someone cancels, 100%. I'm just like, okay, but no that's worries. The thing, hit me up when you're ready. Yeah, because in this lifestyle, people also think, we're just running around like 20-year-old horny people. And it's just like, we have lives, okay? We don't even have sex every day, okay? So for the thought about us having sex not even every week. Right. The thought of us having sex every day with like somebody else is like, it's not really logical. Yeah. It's great. In hindsight, it'd be great. It would be great. We have children, we have a life, and it's just like nothing's ever gonna line up to where that's gonna happen. We've got that type of availability. So. And we're back. We're going to answer some questions from our followers.
Yeah. Okay. So, what do we got here? This is, I guess, I'm reading it verbatim, so bear with me. We've changed from having rules to boundaries, as rules can get broken. Then you feel bad for breaking rules and hurting feelings. However, boundaries can be pushed without causing harm. That's how we feel. Do other couples take this approach?
I've never thought of it like that.
Well, I know for us, as we've said, any rules or boundaries we had tend to...
That's what I mean. Like that, but it's good that another couple has, because we talked about how, a lot of these couples go through the same thing.
Yeah, you have to go through this process.
It's part of the process, and it just kind of is what it is. And yeah, but I never really thought about considering them more boundaries.
Yeah.
Like,
so you can go over the boundary line.
It's like, do you want them to? Probably not. But like, if it happens, are you going to be upset about it? No. And actually, I think that's a really great way to approach that situation, because there are going to be some times where somebody's going to get their feelings hurt, especially in the beginning.
And it's like a gray area, isn't it?
It is
like,
such a gray area.
Yeah, it's really hard to be black and white about it. I think the only thing that I'm like hell bent on is using protection.
Yeah, 100%.
But anything else that we're like, oh, we've kind of discussed that this is where we're going to limit that.
Yeah.
And yet we'll still sometimes overstep, but nobody really gets
I feel like both of us have overstepped boundaries or the rules set in place at times, but like
you get caught up in the moment.
You 100% get caught up in the moment, and that's we understand. So this and again, it's one of those situations where it takes the right couple, and it takes a couple that has great communication, because like this question that was brought up, those couples obviously, went through very similar issues, and they realize how hard it is to stay in a black and white zone.
But they've obviously worked it so that it works for them.
It works for them. And it's a great approach.
But it is probably more our approach too.
Yeah, I just never would have put words on it or a label.
It's a bit like saying, whether it's illegal or whether it's frowned upon.
Yeah.
Not that what we do is illegal. I just
no.
It's my comparison.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Should you leave your kid outside during the day, all day by itself? Probably not. But is it illegal? No. You're home.
If you have a fenced-in yard and a trampoline and swing set, they'll be all right. Just if you gotta pee, just go on the tray. You'll be all right, boy.
Did you say on the tray?
Tree.
Oh, I thought you said on the tray. I was like, he's not a cat. But no, that was actually really good. That was a good question.
Yeah, 100%.
And yeah, it'd be interesting if anybody else has got any feedback on that, drop it in the comments, because obviously
we want to know if
we want to know what other people do.
We've been through this,
and I think it's really helpful for other people to get a lot of different perspectives.
Yeah.
Because obviously this is just pretty much our
this whole podcast. That's exactly this podcast.
So self-indulgent of us.
We are not doctors. We are not therapists. We are not trying to tell you guys to do what we do. We are just telling you what's happened,
what we've done, and how it's worked for us,
and how it's worked for us, and some things that do and don't work for us, or have and have not. But everybody's different, and you guys are gonna figure this out on your own.
Okay. Oh, we've got another question.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Even with ground rules in place, do you have fears or thoughts that could lead to drifting apart?
Not now. I mean, I feel like every couple might in the beginning, again, because it's kind of like it's new to people, and no one knows. But also, I think that we have a very secure relationship to where it's not going to be
I don't know. I don't even think about it, to be honest.
No, that's what I mean.
I'm very confident.
Yeah, I don't.
In what we have.
That's the thing. I feel like some couples, it could be an issue for us personally, and I'm not speaking for Jess. I'm speaking for myself. Like, I don't see it.
No.
I don't.
No,
I can't say.
Well, speaking for me, I don't see it. I think you were saying recently, because obviously we talk a lot about these sort of things in general, but some percentage of open relationships that don't last, or what the success
it was
rate
something
is.
like like 70 to like 80% or something, maybe 70 to like 90%. I don't remember what the exact number was. And it's just like, wow.
They don't last.
At the same time, I 100% can see why. Because look at some of the couples that we've met and how toxic their relationship is.
Yes.
And you know, like there's people that we haven't talked to in a couple of years, and I would almost guarantee there's no way they're still together.
Exactly.
Just because their relationship was so toxic. And you can tell when you hang out with these people, like there's jealousy, there's like bitterness. I don't know. You can't be that couple and be in this scene because it's just not going to work.
No. Nope. Yeah. So I think we've got a lot in this podcast. So I think we're keeping the questions short this week because I think a lot of questions we've already answered.
Like because we've had other questions that were like, what are some things like rules that you've changed? Which we've kind of already discussed. I'm sure there's probably one or two out there that we've missed, but really our rules are condoms. Yeah, like that's because when you get caught up in the moment, a lot's going to happen, and you know you don't like you can make all of these plans and. It's like making your 5-year plan. It sounds great when you're talking about it, but is it always going to pan out? It's not always going to pan out. There's always going to be, you know, little speed bumps and hurdles along the way that you're just going to have to deal with. And this is no different.
But thank you to everyone that did send 3 questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Really
they were
appreciate
good questions too. Even though it was short and sweet, they were very, very good questions.
Yeah, and I felt like they were things we didn't already cover.
Exactly.
Would you say, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the limits or how far we would go with these relationships. And have you ever had like strong feelings for someone? And did what happened or how that eventuated?
I'm assuming you want me to start this one.
Yeah, well, I'm asking you.
So, 100%. Like, I have had a couple people that I actually dated. And we talked about Holly in the last episode, and we love Holly. Like,
what up, Holly Hustler?
Right. Like, she's our homie. Like, we love her. But then there was another girl after that I was kind of more in a relationship with.
Yeah, you guys were like seeing each other a lot.
A lot. And I 100% developed feelings. And like when you're in this type of thing, and that's the thing about our relationship with it being open, it definitely kind of borderlines on poly. And I don't know if it's just by choice or if it's just kind of how it's evolved.
I think a lot of it is that I'm quite comfortable with these women coming into our life.
But the good thing about that is every single person, for the most part, whether it be guys to meet you or women to come over to meet me or go out or whatever, every one of them has been respectful to the other partner. Like, you know, you've had guys come over and, you know, they'll like dap me up and shit on the way out and just be like, hey, bro, like, nice meeting you. Good chat. Like,
yeah.
Nobody's disrespectful.
No.
Even and the same with these women, none of them they're never disrespectful. And honestly, by the time they've met you, I feel like they like you more than they like me. They're like, your husband, great at sex, but you want to be BFFs? Yeah. And I'm like, bro, like you can't just steal all my people. Like, but she does. That's like every time.
I think, so talking about that particular relationship.
Yeah.
I was really excited for you because I felt like you were getting a whole other aspect of a relationship. It was probably very different to what we have.
100%.
We've got kids, you know, life's quite chaotic.
She was younger, didn't have kids, didn't have the responsibilities that we have. So it was like, you get to have that little bit of freedom when you're with that person. And it's not because if me and Jess go out together, one of us is always thinking about the children and we're going to ruin it for ourselves. Like, it's just what's going to happen. Yeah. But if we go out with somebody else out to dinner or something,
and you know your kids are home
by your spouse and they're fine and everything's good, like you don't worry. So I think that you get a little bit more of a thrill on that. And I don't think it's like because you're less interested in your partner or more interested in this person. I think that that's really all it is.
It's just
like
different.
It's so different, and you don't have to worry.
Yeah.
So you're not stressed out about things. So you get to relax more and enjoy yourself. And the whole thing is just, it's just a really enjoyable experience if you guys' relationships ever, evolve into that as well. But
to be honest, I think when you did sort of, I wouldn't say confess, but did say, I do have quite strong feelings. Yeah. I think at the time, I was like, it's understandable and I get it.
Yeah.
But I did also definitely feel some kind of way. Like,
no, 100%. And I think that you should have felt a certain way. And it was very early on in our like openness. And looking back at it now, I would have done things way differently, but also I can't take back how things panned out.
And you can't help how you feel.
And you can't help how you feel. And it's not that, like, me having feelings for the person was the issue. I just feel like I could have navigated things differently on that situation.
But we've always said, if you, like, were chatting with someone, whatever, started dating them, hooked up with them, etc., and you were like, wow, this might be the person.
Yeah.
That we can have that conversation.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever going to happen for me because I can't top what I've got here with you.
I mean, I've set the bar high, fellas. I've set the bar high.
But we've always said, we understand.
We both get that we're like, that's the thing. And that's kind of how our relationship, like, because we are a little bit more poly, we are okay with the other dating other people because as a human being, we kind of feel that we should not be locked in a box to where we can only have feelings for one person. We can only do stuff with one person for the rest of our life because we got married or we're in a relationship. Like, to me, it's very small-minded. I get 100% a lot of people have religious reasons or whatever, and I'm definitely not shitting on those kind of things. But just outside of those kind of things, like I feel like it's just something that's instilled in us as children, maybe even through things like Christianity, just being so wide mainstream.
Yeah,
and it's just kind of pushed on people as the standard. But that's the thing, it's not a standard, and it shouldn't have to be a standard. Like, we are all adults making our own minds up, making these conscious decisions. If everybody's happy doing what they're doing, then what does it matter?
I mean, we've even like talked in the past, could we have someone like an extra person in our relationship,
like sister wives type of situation.
And to be honest, God damn it, I need help with the chores, so I'm all about that.
If you want to move in, you're open to taking care of children and doing dishes, and you get to stare at our beautiful selves.
That's right.
Yeah, it's cool. Come on. We love roommates.
It'd have to be the right person, obviously.
100%.
But we're open to that as well. And yeah, for me, it's just mainly chores and live-in babysitter. But for Johnny, I'm sure there's other reasons.
Well, I mean, if we get to make out every now and then, I'm not against it.
But speaking of the kids, and I mean, obviously, I don't want to really talk about kids so much in a podcast about like open relationships and that, but it is obviously a very huge part of who we are. Because
a lot of the people that are in these types of in this lifestyle do have children.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I think that a lot of our children don't know what's going on or know anything about it. But then I feel like some of us are open. For us, where we don't, like,
our kids are
they're very young. They wouldn't know anyway. They don't even know about anything.
But we will, so like, they will meet some of the people.
They have met some of the people.
And our daughter's very very social. And very outgoing, and she's kind of like, she just loves meeting people. So she will happily hang out with whoever it is, for a few weeks, and then if they disappear off, that's fine. She moves on with her life.
She's not really bothered by it. She just likes to chat people's ear off and make some new friends.
So we don't have an issue bringing people into our children's lives because people come and go in life anyway,
and they're our friends because at the end of the day, these people are our friends. We're not just hooking up with a bunch of random people.
No,
like
there's definitely has to be a connection.
there has
and they have to be like-minded people.
100%.
As in that they good family values.
Yeah,
I guess.
100%.
And respect our children and our time.
Yeah.
So yeah. Do you think that having an open relationship has a negative or a positive impact on our sex life?
I don't think it has had a negative impact at all. I feel like there's periods where we go through where like we're hooking up with people, whatever, and then we're kind of horny and fucking each other a lot. But I think that's just like we go through those periods anyway.
I know.
Like it's just hard. It's really hard to gauge this one.
But you do, I guess. It's almost like hooking up with other people. Kind of, I don't know, stimulates the
need for it kind of like reignites the horniness in you because like our lives are so we don't have time to do anything, okay? Literally. So we like when we do get a little bit of time with each other, like we're not like let's have sex because it's the furthest thing from our mind. It's not that we don't want to, it's just like how do you get in the mood when you have 50 things on your mind?
And you've got like a spare hour max.
Yeah, and it's
like
just
maybe
like
30 minutes.
We could do
it's
this,
like, quick, we're taking too long. We need to.
Or I could beat you in Mario Kart. It's up to you.
Yeah, I'll always choose Mario Kart
every time. So
I always come second
during sex and during Mario Kart.
Yeah. I don't want to say it in public, but Johnny does tend to whip me in Mario Kart.
Every time.
Anyway, moving on. Yeah, I think, it definitely, it can help fuel, our sex life if we have time.
Yeah, because also if you're, if I'm like filming or whatever for a little bit of content for you or whatever, there are times where I'm like, oh, this is pretty hot. You know?
Yeah.
So I think that kind of
helps as
well.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
I don't know. And also I think it definitely helps because I feel like if there was ever going to be a time of jealousy, it's when I'm standing there watching somebody rail you.
Yeah.
And I'm not part of it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm, you know, filming or taking photos or whatever, you know, Yeah, absolutely.
Have you had any, like good or bad reactions from people when you've told them you're in an open relationship?
Yeah, 100%. Both.
You get a lot of.
I get a lot of,
and I think I don't want to be like sexist here, but I think it's women, take it really badly.
No, they do 100%. And, I have actually, it's more so I'm on Tinder, Lady Shoe Shot, and a lot of women. So in my profile, I have put in there 50. I cannot put in there any more open relationship. I even did the SpongeBob uppercase, lowercase. You know what I mean?
I am in an open relationship.
Yeah. If I could attach that photo, I would. I feel like I need to upload it into just my photos.
Just your photo.
It doesn't matter because they wouldn't swipe through all the photos anyway. So, but a lot of these women will just swipe on me. They'll be like, they'll look at the first photo. They'll be like, sexy mofo, can confirm. And they swipe on me. But then we'll get to chatting or whatever. And they'll be like, oh, you're American. That's so awesome. Do you have an accent? Oh, I bet it sounds so hot. I'm like, yeah, it does. Like, you want to hear it? You know, you do. And then they're like, it's the same thing with every one of them. I get why. I'm kind of a novelty.
Yeah, but it's
here.
Like how the Americans love my.
Oh, absolutely, 100%,
accent.
absolutely 100%. And I don't know. I also use it. You know.
Yeah.
It's my superpower. So.
But yeah, these women.
These women, they won't read my profile, and they'll be like, "So, how did you end up in Australia?" And I'm like, me and my wife. ... And they're like, "What do you mean your wife?" I'm like, "What do you mean my wife?" Like. My profile says it 16 times. Did you not read it? Oh, I'm sorry. I must have missed it. Oh, so you didn't look at it at all because it's the first thing that's fucking on there. Okay.
I don't know. When I'm like on Tinder and I see someone, I'm like, yeah, they're all right. I'm not quick swiping. I'm checking out their like.
I've never just bio. Went on like a right swipe frenzy. So, I mean, real like, how else is that happening? Are you just like, well, yeah. No, left, and laughed. Like, and I just got stuck in the frenzy and got the swipe. But it's just like, and the thing that annoys me about it is like some of these women are really attractive, and like, you know, we've had great banter for the last 30 minutes, and I'm like,
and that's the deal breaker.
And like, I'm like, wow, this is really cool. Like, this chick is awesome. And then it turns and she becomes a massive bitch.
Yeah, they get vicious. Hey,
vicious. They attack me like verbally. It's, you piece of shit. Why didn't you read my profile where it said it 30 times? That's not my fault. So at the bottom of my profile now, it says, if you've made it all the way through and you don't understand that I'm in a relationship, I don't want to fucking hear it. Like,
I'm the opposite. But I think it's guys.
Guys don't care.
The
guys, they'll be like, "You're hot. You're a MILF. Like, I want to breed you. I want to smack that ass. Like, you are not." Like...
I think out of all the guys, if I've actually said just checking that you know I'm in an open relationship, because once again it's in my bio 50,000 times as well, and generally, if they didn't realize, they'll be like, "Oh, damn, that's hot."
Yeah, most of them are like, I get to bang some guy's wife.
But I've probably had like 2 or 3 that were like, "Oh, my bad. Like, this is not for me." I'm like, "Sweet, no worries," and they move on.
But they move on. Me. There's no, no, but 100%. There are women that have not read it, and like we leave like amicably. Is that the word?
Yeah, amicably. And, they get
you know, like we.
They're just
nobody's bitter.
Nice
Nobody, and they're like, "Oh, damn!" I've had some be like, "Oh, you were sexy as fuck," like that. I'm sad.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I'm sad. Come back. But you know, like it just is what it is, and like I respect them 100%, and that's my Tinder profile used to say the most respectful guy on Tinder, and it's true. I'm not going to send you dick pics, and I'm respectful
unless you ask, ladies.
And then I'm going to give you my phone number, and then I'm going to show you IRL.
But I think telling like any of our friends, they've always been like, you kind of think, oh God, they're going to think I'm a fucking whore or something. But it's usually received quite well. And I think,
my friends are like, you know what? I saw that coming. Yeah. I'm not surprised. Like you absolutely seem like the type of couple that would be into that.
But a lot of my work friends. So obviously, at first I was quite like secretive, and then I got to a point and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. This is me. And it's so much easier to not hide it. And so just...
it's gotten a lot easier since we... because we've been in the open relationship for the last 2.5 years, but like we've only been open like this in the last like maybe month or 2. So
no, we've been like honest with friends for a long time.
Some of them, not to the extent that we are now.
But for me to just go, hey... I'm in an open relationship with Johnny. Exactly I have a Twitter page. I have a podcast, like all that. And
don't go on Twitter and look at my boobies if you're going to be offended.
Yeah, that's it. Just putting it out there. PSA: if bits offend you, don't look at my Twitter.
Because there's lots of nudity.
But
if you do want to look at it,
I just don't care.
You're right. 100%.
And so I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to let everyone at work know. Not like I didn't sit them down like a mob of, you know, like, hey, guys.
I've pulled this meeting together. I just wanted to let you all know.
Just pulling out my PowerPoint presentation.
In an open relationship. Next slide. This is Johnny. This is who I'm married to. Next slide. Open relationship. See this diagram here of 2 people with another person in the middle? Next slide.
But yeah, so I obviously let everybody at work know, just why not, you know, whatever. And everyone was just like super excited.
No, but it's
super
good.
Excited.
It's good because your workplace has such a diverse, you know, group of people. It's good that it was received so well.
Yeah.
Because I've also had people, not just on Tinder, but people just, you know, in comments on any of this stuff, and they'll just be trash talking like, you guys don't even love each other. Like, how can you guys be in an open relationship and have a loving relationship? And they just shit all over it. And it's just like,
They're guys don't... different things.
Two different things. Yeah. But then also I talked to this woman who I still talk to all the time on Snapchat. Like, I don't want to name drop her because like she's super awesome and she listens to the podcast. So
shout out to you.
But yeah, she said when she first started chatting with me and I talked about the open relationship and all of that, like she was a little bit like kind of like eesh, and you know, more or less thought like this guy's like kind of like, you know, a scumbag without being, saying I'm a scumbag. But then after listening to our podcast and getting insight to our actual relationship into who I am outside of like 12-word profile on Tinder, they
11
learn
of these words say open relationship.
11, right. So it's just like her mind was more opened, and she actually wrote me this long message that was super sweet, saying that like she's sorry that she judged me for that, and that her mind was opened up a lot more. And it was honestly, out of everybody I've chatted to, everything, like that was one of the best messages I've ever received in my entire existence.
Oh my God. Like, he didn't show me it or anything, but he
I
said,
didn't show it, but I told her, the sweetest message.
And it was so nice. Like, she didn't even have to do that.
No, 100%. Like, she didn't owe that to me. She didn't, but it was great that this podcast can open up other people's minds to that, the stigma that is attached to this lifestyle is so shit.
Yeah.
And it's horrible that it is, but it's just because it's so mainstream to not be non-monogamous,
That's it.
So it's just like, it just is what it is. And you're going to deal with this, especially if you're a new couple and you're, maybe don't tell your family and friends right away, kind of feel out the situation. For me, my whole family's dead, so who's going to be upset? Who's going to be mad?
There's still some alive. Come on, like slow down. Like maybe
one
twin sister, perhaps.
Yeah, but for the most part, like I don't have to answer to anybody. I don't. No one's judgmental because no one cares. They're like, oh, that's Johnny. Like he's always been
a dirty fucker.
He's always been a crazy mofo. So
always whipping his dick out.
That son of a bitch. No, he's doing it safely. Good for him.
So we've had the whole gamut of reactions, really, haven't we?
Yeah. But we get some people that are super intrigued and they're like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, how does it work? Like, tell me everything.
And that's what we're here for. And I hope
that is what we're here for.
Anybody that's thinking about getting into the lifestyle or is new to it, I hope this is giving you some kind of insight or, maybe putting you at ease or, just giving you something to think about. And maybe it's going to put you off completely. And that's fine too. One thing I guess a lot of people don't understand or the sort of thing people might ask a lot about is the time management of it. So we say endlessly that we are time poor. We're very busy. We have a lot going on.
And with children, kids. We have alternating schedules.
That's right.
So if one of us is doing something, the other person is realistically watching the kids. Like it's just... it's the only way we can make it work. And that's another thing. Like if you are a jealous person and you have nothing but time and you're just sitting at home while your wife is, out making out with some guy, you might have a bad time. So you need to make sure that you have a very...
Got a hobby. You need a hobby.
You need a hobby. Or at least, children to distract you.
Yeah. So...
my kids have hobbies. It keeps me busy.
I don't have hobbies. I don't have time for hobbies. This is my hobby. Hey?
We love painting and crafts and putting necklaces together with beads.
We love doing all that stuff. We just don't have time. And if we are doing it, it's with our kid and it's frustrating.
Mom, you're not doing it right. It's like, you're 5. You don't know how to do it right.
43. I think I am doing it right. Why are you telling me off? It's not that our kids own us or anything, but they own us.
She's bossy.
Lord, is she ever. So time management, I guess we will often, we help each other out. So if Johnny's like, oh, I've got a date this whenever.
Say this Friday.
I'm usually working, but nevertheless, if I was available, I'd be like, sweet, I've got the kids, you do this.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to be like, oh, motherfucker,
but then she'd go,
you're going to leave me with the kids.
No, whereas that's another thing that you might struggle with early on, a little bit of the jealousy on that one person is off, having fun and you're not. And it's just, that's why I truly recommend swinging beforehand.
Or getting a hobby.
And having a very secure relationship.
I don't care if this idiot's out there having sex. Look at me doing my cross stitch here.
Yeah.
Look at this magnificent cross stitch.
Yeah. Make some shit.
Make some shit. Not angry art.
Not angry art.
This is a representation.
Look at her out there having fun, whips paint at the paint.
It could work. I don't know. So we obviously need to support each other.
This whole
to
relationship is about supporting the other
that's
person.
it. So you need to be able to support each other. And do we have time? No. Do we try and make time? Yes. We probably prioritize giving each other time for these things than our actual relationship sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's just who we are, I guess. And we
go through periods. There's times where neither of us are really into hooking up with other people. And it's not that we're not into it, because like, who wouldn't be into hooking up with people?
Just don't have.
But it's just like, on the days off, it's like, I'd rather just spend time with my family and kids. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't understand that. No. And a lot of people get angry that, like, I've had women get angry at me that I will not drop everything and go meet up with them. They'll block me. They'll tell me off. Like, and it's just like, bro.
It's like, your wife's at work. You've got two kids.
I have 2 kids. Like, I'm a dad. And I get that you don't have children, and it's great. Like, I remember how easy my life was pre-children.
That's right.
But that's not my life now.
Yeah.
Okay? And I'm content with my life. And if you can't wait till I have availability and you just need it right now, then I'm fucking sorry. Like, you'll figure it out.
Next, right?
Next.
Move along. So for example, this week I'm working 6 days, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm hardly going to see my family.
Yeah.
Like, my kids, like, nah. So if I've got that one day that I'm not at work, that's going to be for my family.
Yeah.
And people that are like, oh, I really want to see you this week, whatever. That's great. Pull your head in.
Yeah, it's like, she'd like to see you too, but that's just what's happened.
Yeah.
So take it or leave it.
So
most of them just leave it, and then they cry about it, and then they come back and
come crawling back. I think if you're younger, you don't have kids, it's probably going to be a lot easier, but at the same time,
100%. 100%. I also think being younger, you might struggle with the jealousy factor as well, because you haven't developed the mindset of, being so giving, I guess, or being acceptance, really, I think is probably
compromising.
Yeah, and learning how to compromise in a relationship, period.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Like,
so old people do it better. No.
No, they probably do though. They probably do, because when we go to a lot of these like swinger events or swinger venues and stuff, like, you do see a lot of older couples, but it's because they've got 50 years together to where they are so secure in their relationship. Their grandma is just going to go sit there in the jacuzzi with the boobies out, and no one's going to care.
No.
And
she's going to have a great time.
She's going to have a great time, and they're going to both go home and like be happy with their lives. Like, so,
Yeah. I think for anybody coming into this, like, I'm trying to think if there's anything further we need to really. You know what? One of our ground rules it's a non-negotiable is condoms.
Yeah, 100%, 100%, and it's not even just for pregnancy. It's for safety.
It is absolutely safety first and foremost.
Like, obviously in the moment, it's rough and something happens, and we'll deal with that as it happens. But like, 100%, like, that's our only rule, really. Like, that's
it's so many guys in my DMs going, I want to breed you, mammy, and it's like, good luck with that.
It's like, she wants you to as well. However, she doesn't even know you, and it's just never going to happen. And it's like, it's a great fantasy.
Fantasy. Oh,
I'm married to her, and I think all the time, like, I'm going to breed her. And I recently got a vasectomy, and
no more breeding.
But now I'll get to be able to practice.
That's right.
That's right. I'm ahead of all of you guys. So
yeah. So that would definitely be our one non-negotiable. I can't even say that word. Non-negotiable.
I know.
Negotiable. So I think for anybody starting out, definitely set some ground rules. Very open, honest communication, a lot of transparency, not just in the aspects of your open relationship, but in your relationship in general. And
bringing it up to your partner about even approaching this type of thing, like, do it lightly. Don't just jump into it and be like, I want to fuck other people. How do you feel? Because they're going to be like, what?
Back it up.
So maybe
feel it out first.
Feel it out. First of all, if you think that your partner's probably not ready to have that conversation, don't put yourself in that situation because it may push them away and you may never get that.
How do you think we're going now, Johnny? Steele? Yo girl?
As far as our relationship, like as a whole, or this is like our relationship in this lifestyle?
Both.
Relationship in this lifestyle is great. Relationship at home. I don't know. The last episode, I heard you say something about you start off with your partners with these blowjobs, and I'm just thinking back, like, when was the last time? No, I think that for us personally, I think that this works for us.
Yeah.
I can see how it wouldn't work for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like even friends that listen to the podcast or whatever, they know that it wouldn't work for them, and they love hearing us and our stories.
Because they can
and
live
how,
vicariously through us,
But they also know it wouldn't work for them because they're like, I'm not sharing my girlfriend. Like that big booty hoe is mine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm not mad. I get it because like if you did share, I'd be like,
reaction.
please,
yeah.
Please, sir, may I have some more? So I get it. You know, it's not for everybody though. It's not for everybody.
It's not. But I think we have a lot of fun with it.
And that to us is the most important thing. If you're doing this and you're not enjoying it, like even one of you is not enjoying it, don't do it. And I feel like before you jump into this, you kind of got to have a conversation with your partner and talk out the situation. Like if we start this and one person isn't okay with this, do we keep it going?
Yeah.
Or are we going to just shut this shit down?
Exactly.
And I feel like that is a major thing that you need to talk about, like in the very beginning.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've ever talked about that on the podcast in any of these episodes, but you 100% need to have that conversation like day one before you even do stuff with other people, because you both need to be on the same page about that. Because if one person is like, no, we're going to keep this going, but the other person's like, no, we're not, it's not going to work out.
Yeah, you got to end that there. But, you know, you got to be respectful of that person's
100%.
feelings. I mean, 100%. I have times where I'm like, Johnny, I'm just not feeling like I just don't feel this at the moment, like for a few days. I have, you know, I go through periods where like, I'm like.
Where she's super gassed up because like these guys are like, oh man, like you are a little fine ass bitch.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, I am. That's right.
I know. And then I'll just go through some flat days.
2 days she'll be like, I don't know why anybody likes me. It's like, go on Twitter and be reminded. What do you mean?
Get some fuel.
5,000 people on there that tell you every day. What are you talking about?
But yeah, but even if you get that, like I get guys saying stuff, I'm just like, whatever. Like I just don't have the energy or the mentality for it in that moment. And Johnny's like, yep, cool, no worries. Like just step back and chill for a few days, whatever. So we can be very respectful of each other's.
But also another thing that I think that something that we've never talked about, like ourselves, that happens is if we feel like the other person is not in the right headspace in that moment to talk about something, we don't talk about it.
But you got to know the other person. You got to understand
100%.
Just because somebody's saying something doesn't mean they're feeling that way.
Yeah.
And if you can't read that, you know, obviously we're honest and try to be transparent, but sometimes you can just kind of be like, oh yeah, you know, sure, whatever. Like, when you're kind of like,
say, you know, she's in like, you know, a shit mood or not feeling it that
90% of the time. 90%
of the time.
Life's hard.
And I'm not going to be like, oh my God, so I've been talking to this super hot chick and you know, and we're going to hook up this weekend, and I'm going to choose the right time to bring that up. Like, you know, and respectfully. And, you know, you have to like, you're not, obviously that's not hiding anything because like we are so ridiculously transparent, but also knowing the right time to talk about any of this stuff, no matter what it is, you need to know. You need to know, like, even if you are in a secure relationship and all of that, because a lot of this is how you approach the other person.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's it. It's a mind game.
It is
a strategy.
100%.
It's really psychology.
If you're
navigating the psychology between you. So,
or if you're really into a couple, but your partner's not, and you gotta gas her up or him or her up, and you're like, oh man, like, did you check out the other one? Like, you know, you gotta choose the right time to do that. Like, because if you choose it at a bad time, the other partner's gonna be like,
shut down.
No, just stop. Like, I've already told you no. Like, you gotta make them wonder a little bit. That's like, ooh, could it be spicy?
Could it be? It's usually not.
No, with us it is though.
Yeah, I mean, with us, obviously. We're like prime. Like, who wouldn't want this? When you get into it, you kind of don't think, like, how are we going to navigate this? And I think for us, because we thought it was going to be stuff,
but we thought it was going to be different than what it was.
Oh yeah, it's so different to what you would expect.
The evolution of our situation is not what it is for a lot of other people.
No, everybody has their own path.
And this was ours, and we kind of went fast, 100%.
We did.
And it brought up issues, not issues to the point where obviously we're not together. Like,
no, but
I feel like certain issues could have escalated to that point. Yeah. So,
but I think we're pretty reasonable people. We're old enough that it's like,
that's another thing. You know, like we get it.
We get it.
Ooh, guess what?
What?
I've heard some rumblings of what the potential next event theme is going to be. What do you think it's going to be?
For private nights?
For private nights.
I've seen some suggestions. I'm trying to think. There were some really good ones, actually. But I feel like I could spice up any theme.
100%. What was one of your favorite ones?
I really like the underwater one.
Oh yeah, the Seductive Seas.
Yes, the Seductive Seas. Yeah. That one, that kind of appealed to me, but I'm all about those seashell pasties.
Oh my god, mandatory at the door.
I feel like there's going to be, there would be a lot.
There mermaids everywhere. Yeah. Mermaids everywhere. No, I think that's definitely a good theme though.
Yeah, that one I think was definitely my favorite.
Yeah, there's a few that were thrown out there really awesome, but that was definitely one of my favorites as well. Yeah.
What do you reckon? Do you reckon the rumors are true?
I don't know. We're going to have to just wait and find out.
I guess we are.
And on that note, I think our work here is done.
Our
Johnny Steele, you girl.
Work here is done.
So, without further ado, peace.
Peace. Thanks for joining us on the Steele Rabbit Podcast, where we fearlessly delved into the intricate tapestries of adult intimacy and relationships. We hope our bold conversations have sparked curiosity, ignited passion, and perhaps even brought a smile to your face. Remember, in the realm of desire, nothing is off limits. Stay tuned for more unfiltered discussions, candid stories, and the exploration of the diverse landscapes of human connection. Until next time, keep the flames of passion burning and embrace the beauty of our own sensual journey. This is Johnny Steele, signing off from the Steele Rabbit Podcast.